I'd like to call to order the regular town council meeting for December 29th. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mike Aurelio.
Here.
Brian Blazak.
Present.
Wayne Pondinas.
Present.
Michael Schilling.
Here.
Gerald Swets.
Here.
Joe Wizawati.
Present.
David Westland.
Present.
And Beth Hernandez. Present.
Item number 3, public comment. Michael Bovat.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name's Michael Bovat. I live in 9291 West 103rd Place. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. I'd like to wish everyone here a Happy New Year. I'd like to speak to the October 26th Town Council meeting. During the meeting, it was brought up, and the Town Council approved the Civil Budget Ordinance 1781A. And I was just curious if the Town Council could bring some clarity to some of the questions that were asked. During the meeting, no one on the Town Council except one person asked any questions about the $25 million budget. One of the questions asked was anybody getting a higher than 5% pay raise? And the town councilman answered the town manager answered the town councilman and said, well, when you get the salary ordinance, draw your own conclusion. Well, they kind of left it, at odds with me as far as like to have clarity. If anyone could speak to that, you all voted for it, and just please bring it to a head and let us know if anything came of that. And also, I know during the budget discussion, when Wayne was asking Mr. Pondinas some questions, he asked about the $125,000 that was being spent for office equipment. Was it really necessary to spend that much money? Was there a line item? I know that Mr. Tony Madeira-Dio or something, he got up and said that, Mike, you had asked, and like, you're pretty thorough with wanting to have like line items and invoices and wanting to know all the expenditures. So for like items like this, is there any clarity that you could bring and let the citizens know what the money is being spent on for all the money that was spent for the budget? And also there was another question that Wayne brought up about the $30,000 for motorized equipment, which I was a little befuddled. I wasn't clear on that, and if you could speak to that money. They said it wasn't really for motorized equipment or something to do with Civic Park, but I think people would like to have an answer to those questions. On the one hand, it seems like there wants to be a lot of fiscal responsibility, and we appreciate that, but then on the other hand, like with the budget, no questions were asked. And we're just a little befuddled. I know I was, that when a town councilman asked the town manager, is anyone else getting any more money? He says, well, draw your own conclusion. If you could clarify for us, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Wayne Pondinas.
You want me to get up in front of there, or you want me to stay here? Does it make a difference? It does make a difference to me. I'll get up there. Wayne Pondinas, 8781 Verbena Court. At our last town council meeting, public comment was not allowed. The meeting was cut so abruptly with no comments allowed from the town council, clerk, or staff. It was so fast that nothing was said about the holiday coming up, which was Christmas. It was totally disrespectful of our town council not to have wished the town employees and the residents of St. John a Merry Christmas and safe travels for the holiday. I see that the council and the clerk have been taken off the agenda again tonight under reports and correspondence. Why is this changing all of a sudden? We have all been elected or appointed to represent the residents, and not being able to speak to those we represent is a shame. I keep on asking the town manager for a plan as to how we will spend ARPA money. We had the department heads come, give us their list of needs, and never heard anything since. We need a plan. I keep being told we'll talk about it next week, but next week never seems to come. I see certain individuals are being appointed to boards and commissions tonight. Did we even put out applications for residents who might be interested? I didn't see it anywhere. Did we do interviews? If so, who received this information? I sure didn't. Where was the discussion about liaison appointments? I see that's also on the agenda tonight. I believe these items should be deferred for residents to be notified of any openings and have a chance to apply. Interviews should occur and then appointments made. Liaison appointments should also wait until we elect a town council president for 2023 to see how he chooses to handle this. There are 3 council members and the town manager making all the decisions and keeping the rest of us in the dark. We need to be informed of what's going on. And since then, I went through my paperwork, and Joe, you did respond with 3 things. But the ARPA funds, what I was looking for was to have a list. So if it's, say, 5 million, 1 million went for this, 150,000 went for that, and let everybody show, us, the town council people, and the town, what we're doing. We had a committee, our people wanted to know where the money was going, but that kind of went by the wayside. So what I have is the resolution that we just passed, Resolution 22-1214, which was passed last week, or on the 14th by us. That was for the 96th Avenue project, to finish that. That was $36,000. The fire truck, my figure shows $330,000. Okay, then we have, I got 4 police cars, but that was thrown out there. That's about $264,000. The 85th Street project, at one time I heard it was 1.1 million. When we did that project, we didn't know where the money was going to come from. If it wasn't for ARPA, we wouldn't have had that money. And what I'm afraid of is, are we using this money, not foolishly, but is it just going through our pocket? Jerry, in an email, you said you wanted to know, and that was after, I think your words were, after the salary control ordinance was done, then Joe would work on that. The house that we just talked about, that's $331,000. Demolition, we don't know what that could be. It could be $30,000. 2 Dodge Durangos, that's on the request to purchase tonight. That's $84,352. And then I asked a question for 85th Street for the retainage fee. That was $27,897. That came out of the ARPA money. Now, I think,
Wayne, you got to wrap it up.
and then that's it. That was it.
You're throwing a bunch of numbers, and I don't have any of those numbers to respond to, so.
And what I would do, with all due respect, Jerry, just have Joe and we all get together, and so we're all on the same page where that money's going, because before you know it, it'll be gone.
Right.
And I respect you, your question, and I thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Beth Hernandez.
Beth Hernandez, 10538 Bridlewood Street. I'm here this evening to speak to you during public comment, since my ability to address and update the council and residents under reports and correspondence has been taken away. I'd like to speak on item 8C4, which is a transfer resolution numbered 2022-1229F. You intend to transfer an unverified amount of $17,595.22 in donations intended for and deposited into the Christmas in the Park Fund pursuant to Ordinance 1360 to various different townwide funds. Your description states this is to cover payroll expenses incurred for the 2022 Christmas in the Park special event. Being assigned duties during the workday for special events is part of being a town or city employee, and every town and city operates the same way. I'm not sure why this methodology is suddenly being used for only the Christmas in the Park event, or where it will end. For example, why didn't donations raised for Freedom Fest reimburse, at least in part, payroll? Are you planning on using donations for the Easter egg hunt and Boo Bash and all other planned special events to reimburse payroll? Should the town council's budget pay for the police officers who sit at your town council meetings, since this is your meeting, not theirs? Why should they pay for it out of their budget? You are embarking on a road that I believe you will quickly come to regret next year when you aren't able to raise enough donations to fund the supplies and services, etc., to carry out the special events, let alone its payroll. Not only has every single town event been scheduled as part of the normal work performed by certain employees, it is clear by the Christmas in the Park sponsorship forms and correspondence with donors what the intended purpose was for these donations, and nowhere was it agreed upon that these sponsors would cover the town's payroll expenses. The State Board of Accounts has a very clear audit position on how donations with intended purposes are to be spent. I strongly caution you from attempting to make these transfers. Now, I can only surmise why you have chosen to target only the Christmas in the Park event, but funneling donations to cover payroll expenses is, in essence, attempting to destroy one of our town's longest-standing traditions. It's important not to let your disdain for me overrule what's in the best interest of our residents and community. This is not a Beth Hernandez event. This is a town event enjoyed by so many residents and members of the surrounding communities for the past 18 years. I implore you to use the donations for their intended purposes and treat this long-standing special event in the same manner you treat all other town special events, and none of those require donations to cover payroll. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. All right, we will go on to approval of the minutes. Item number 4, we've got regular town council meeting minutes from November 22, which you should have in front of you. Questions, comments? Now I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the town council regular meeting minutes for November 22nd, 2022, and December 14th special meeting, 2022.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike.
For second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Those are approved. We have a public hearing on Resolution 2022-12-29 and 29A and 29B.
Did you approve the special meeting minutes? Or were they
Yes,
both?
he did
Yeah,
those,
both.
Those were both, okay.
I did them both together, right.
but thank you.
Thank you.
So proofs of publications, Mr. Attorney.
The clerk treasurer previously forwarded the proofs of publication, and they are in order and compliant with Indiana code.
Okay. Joe?
I would turn this over to Beth for opening remarks on this.
There were additional funds needed to close out the year, which have been placed in the newspaper for public hearing tonight. You have various different additional appropriations out of the water district, or one additional appropriation out of the water district, and that was for the box culvert conflict. You have the same additional appropriation out of the sanitary district, also for the box culvert conflict. The amounts differ between each fund. That's the 41 project. Then you'll have a third resolution, which is lettered B. That's your civil resolution. In total, for the general fund, out of the town council budget, there's an additional appropriation for $75,827 to cover full-time employees, engineering, codification, consulting, travel and training, water, and printing. For the Park and Rec operating budget, it's a total of $56,500 for building ground repairs and maintenance. For MVH restricted, this is, you can anticipate having an additional appropriation out of this fund annually. This is a restricted fund where half of our MVH funds must be used for an intended purpose, which is road construction or maintenance, and we usually fund part of the CCMG project with these funds. We don't know exactly, you have to use half of them annually, and we don't know exactly what that figure is going to be until about midway in December when we get our last distribution. We've been on a track now where we're getting more than we anticipate in revenue, and so that's why you're seeing an additional appropriation here. CEDAT, $150 for our bond. They raised our paying agent fee. Community events, this was for the Freedom Fest. $48,948. Park Memorial trees and benches. I believe Michael sold one more bench, so we needed to appropriate more money to pay the vendor for that bench. It was in the gates. Cadget Public Safety, this is your police and fire fund, one of them. Their main need for an additional appropriation is for building and repair and maintenance. Solid waste, this is for our leaf removal, and there was one other item, I can't remember off the top of my head what it was
Electronic recycling?
for. Yeah, for recycling. And then lastly, our local road and bridge. This is the overage from the CCMG project, so we'll need an additional 101,000 there. Now, as I previously mentioned, there were some additional payroll expenses for the Public Safety Lowit Fund and the Park Fund that as I was, you're on a deadline. You have to notice the public hearing 10 days prior to the meeting, and so I was trying to anticipate where we would be in those two funds, and we ended up not needing it, but it's not going to hurt anything. It just reverts back to the your general fund.
Right.
That was for the Public Safety Lowit and Park Fund. Neither of them will need additional payroll.
Okay. That's it?
Unless you have any questions for me.
Well, I need to open the floor to public comment first. So I open the floor to public comment on each of these items. Resolution 2022-12-29, 29A, and 29B. Calling twice. I will close the floor to public comment. All right. Council, any questions on, let's take them one at a time, 29. Okay, then is there a motion to approve Resolution 2022-12-29?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Questions or comments on Resolution 2022-12-29A? I will entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. And finally, Resolution 2022-12-29B. Questions or comments? I will entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Okay, item number 6, presentation and recognition, K2M, Fire Station Improvements and Plan. Joe?
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to ask our fire chief to come up and make the introductions on this and then kind of go through this.
Thank you, gentlemen and Beth, for being here. So I'd like to introduce Carrie Colvin with K2M Design and Eric Prose with DS Architecture. Several of our neighbors, to include the town of Cedar Lake Fire, town of Maryville, and the Maryville Fire Protection Territory, has referred me, the fire department, to K2M. I was successful in the fiscal year 2021 securing AFG grant for funding for new SCBA's. The fiscal year 2022 grant, high items of what they'd like to provide for. I'm going to pursue clean gear storage, exhaust removal, and cancer prevention for our firefighters at our firehouse. To adequately compete for this grant of this magnitude, I'm requesting K2M to complete a station needs assessment. This will accompany the projects I have mentioned, as well as looking into the space at the fire department and police department seeing if the space is being used to the best of its abilities throughout the entire building. This does include the unfinished space upstairs that we do share with the PD. Part of our vision is to move our living quarters upstairs, so like where our day room, equivalent to your living room is, our kitchen, add some more offices for PD. I think Chief Flores has also mentioned to have some storage for evidence up there as well. This is a highly competitive grant, and having this will help us provide for that grant and have them have the information that the federal government can decide if we need it. Clean gear prevention, cancer prevention, exhaust elimination is no longer a thing of the future. It's a needed aspect of any firehouse nowadays. Finally, this does come up with a favorable recommendation from the safety board 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago now. And I'd like to introduce Carrie real quick, and then she'll introduce Eric.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. Again, my name's Carrie Colvin, and I am representing our Indianapolis office of K2M Design, and I work with K2M as the Director of Business Development. And I have with me and with all of us virtually our partner, Eric Prose, who is here to help answer any questions that you may have. If you have more questions for the fire chief, or if you have any questions about the project, Eric is here to help answer any of those questions for you.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Very good. Yeah. Just to build on what Carrie had mentioned, this first feasibility study will give us kind of the conceptual design of what we can accomplish with the existing facility. And as Chief mentioned, most of those hinge on, safety and security concerns. And then the conclusion of this study will also give us some budget numbers to work with. And we're looking at trying to do kind of an a la carte budget for this, so we can know how much, how many of the wants and wish list items we can also accomplish with this, but primarily focused on, activating some of that underutilized space and providing more safety features for the building. But if there's any questions, as Carrie mentioned, I'd be happy to help answer any of those. But had a chance to walk through the facility with your chief and assistant chief, and really looking forward to working with you guys. So I'll turn it back over to you guys.
So I guess my question is, do you guys have any questions for us on this? You should have the proposal in front of you. If not, Carrie and I have it. Carrie has a digital copy. I do have a regular copy. Only one though. I don't know how well that will share. If you did it, I'm gonna hand it to Ben.
I don't have it.
I don't have it either.
I don't have it.
I don't have it.
Alright, so I'm gonna go your iPad.
So Kevin, if you just want to kind of touch on the highlights of it.
So it, like Eric mentioned and Carrie said, this is a feasibility study to give me numbers so I could turn into FEMA so we could apply for the grant. And maybe it's actually be best for Carrie, but it's a 6 week, it's not 6, it's an 8 week project. Here, I'll let you.
Yeah. So yes, it's a 6 to 8 week project. And Eric, jump in if I am overlooking any of the details.
Certainly, yeah.
But we start off all of our projects with a visioning session. And what we'll do is identify and discuss with everyone involved all of the priorities and goals that all of you have for this project, and forecast over the next 5 to 10 to 20 years for that life of the building. And then we'll assess the facility itself and then begin to look at, the structure and
The individual projects too are important. So the a la carte design, I think, is really going to be important for us moving forward, because if we are going to build and maybe move the kitchen upstairs so we could have more bedrooms downstairs, which is a suggestion from the Safety Commission. If we are going to do a clean storage for our gear and exhaust system, we need what those are going to cost puzzle pieces for these grants I'm applying for. So that's really what this is doing, getting someone other than Evan and his Tinker Toys, having professionals do this and give us a real hard number so we could apply.
So this is kind of a rollover from the remodel project that you were talking about doing over there. This is just going through the feasibility studies so that you can actually apply for the grant and see if we can get.
Yeah, I mean, it
money to-
has a remodel part in there too. I
Right.
mean, we don't know, that was all conjecture and, hey, this is how much it will cost.
Right.
I'm good at helping people and doing things like that. I can't tell you the number of actual architecture of how much that will be. K2M will be able to help us with that, and that's really what I'm looking for here.
So you mentioned other municipalities. You're partnering with others in this?
Other municipalities have recommended K2M to us.
Okay, thank you.
What other local municipalities are you working with?
we've been working with Cedar Lake for the last year, as well as Merrillville. And those are here in Lake County. Valparaiso, we are not under contract yet with, but we've been in discussion with.
Yeah, and you guys did the entire design for Cedar Lake's new fire station, correct? Public safety
Correct.
building, I should say.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. We're working with the city of West Lafayette currently to do some master planning.
And you said this went in front of the Board of
Yes.
Safety already?
Yes.
Yeah, this
And
did.
and it's
we
coming
have
with,
favorable
it's
recommendation.
coming to us with a recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Are we looking for action on this tonight, Joe, or is this just a presentation for us tonight?
Well, if the council's ready to move forward on this, then you could do so and authorize the president to sign the agreement.
I have a question. Is there a harm in, I'm just looking at this now.
Absolutely.
So is there a harm in delaying this? I would like to have I'm sure this is wonderful and great and, but as long as
We
we
could,
cause, I'd
we
like to
could, we
have
could
this
definitely
deferred.
defer it to January if
I'd like
that's
to have
the.
this deferred,
yeah,
please.
Certainly.
Yeah.
The only caveat to that, guys, and I hate to interrupt, but looking at that March deadline for us to get this all prepared for the deadline for the grant application, it's kind of our milestone. So in order to give enough time to thoughtfully go back and forth with the chief and his staff, we want to make sure we allow enough time. So certainly don't want to rush the decision, but the sooner we can get started, the more time we'll have to really flesh this out and do a good job ahead of that March deadline.
Sure.
So that would be the only.
What is the March deadline?
The only reason to. That is for the application for the grant, I believe, and Chief, I don't know if you know the exact date, but
So
we're
if-
targeting early March just to have it wrapped up.
So
for your use.
AFG is the Federal Assistance to Firefighters Grant. The pre-announcement said that they'll be opening it the 6th or 7th of January. That's if they close other grants they have open. So the one we just got was fiscal year 2021. They're a year behind already. So
Okay.
they're tentatively opening it then. Mike, I can't tell you with any certainty what.
Okay,
FEMA's
but it's in March, so we'll likely have a meeting in a couple of weeks that would
Yeah.
not cause damage to the effort.
Yeah, so I have a
two,
number I can provide
probably.
them
Okay.
at the close of the grant is the big thing.
Thank you.
Well, knowing that it's a 6 to 8 week study and we've got a beginning of March deadline, and it's coming as a recommendation from the Board of Safety, I don't have a problem acting on this. But I'd like some feedback from the other board members.
How's this gonna work? Go ahead if you want. If we go into the fire territory, what you were talking about, how does that, we're gonna improve something, is that gonna take away from us later?
The fire territory talk is just talk, and that's
Okay.
something that you guys would have to act on. Fire territory, even too, when they say that, they talk about it, they want the buildings to remain property of the municipalities. The analogy that I think Senator Dalton's the one who did the study. His analogy, and I don't know who from Senator Dalton, but they say that it's like a marriage. They want to make sure that the buildings stay there in case the territory ever dissolves. So the town of St. John or the town of Sherwood, or whoever we go into with this, Lake Hills, the St. John Township Fire Department, everyone still has a station that is there, so if something happens and there's a bad breakup, essentially, is how they call it.
Basically, Kevin, what it amounts to is the town ends up leasing it to the fire territory.
Yeah, I mean, there's the fire.
Well, just so
territory-
people understand that, you know, it's all a lease situation, it's all get leased back to the fire territory. And as Kevin's stating, if they dissolve the territory at some period into the future, it reverts back to the town. So you never lose ownership of the property.
I think it's important too. This is not just for the fire department. This is for the police department's getting stuff out of it too. So it's that.
Correct.
It's the unused part of the building that overlooks town hall, essentially, where the windows are and everything.
Right.
So we have some storage there. Chief Flores was looking for, like I said, offices and storage for evidence.
Councilman Jorgensen, did you have something you wanted to input on this?
I did have a question, Mr. President, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
And
County Councilman Christian Jorgensen?
perhaps I missed this, and I apologize if I did. What's the cost of the feasibility study? And then what's the total amount of the grant they're seeking, and is there a match that the town is going to have to put forward? I mean, that's really all that counts, isn't it?
Yeah, so those are awesome questions. So I actually handed it out, so I don't have it. What did you say, Carrie? The bottom line price for this, sorry, I don't mean to touch your own.
No, that's fine. 15,000 is the study, the price for the study.
The grant depends on,
Yeah, we see that. I don't think that's your question. So, yeah, that's for your fee. I think what you're asking for is the needs assessment, what we're going to actually put in into the facility. Do you have a cost estimate on those items?
I think that the needs assessment.
That's what this is going to
That's what this
determine.
is going to, that's what this is going to figure
So,
out.
but the question is, if,
There is a grant, though, either it's a non-matching grant or it's a
10%.
matching. It's 10%. So what would be the total amount of the
So
grant?
for example, we got a grant this year for SCBA's.
step up to the mic, please.
Sorry. For this year, we got a grant for SCBA's. It was a 10% match. Roughly, that was shared between us and the town of Dyer. So we're paying roughly $50,000 for that.
Okay.
In 10%, the grant was 10% of the total cost of the project.
Yeah.
We covered
And
90%.
this is again, if we get the grant. This is just so I can apply for it, so I have numbers to give the federal government to see. I can't pull, hey, I think this is how much it costs. It doesn't make our grant competitive. They want actual numbers.
Yeah, I think
Sure.
I think the question was, how much can you get in a grant? So is it like $1 million? Is it 500,000? Because is it 20,000, right? If it's 20,000, it
I don't want
doesn't
it
make
to
a lot of sense to
16,000 to
spend
do it,
15
exactly.
Right.
Right.
That
It's-
was, I think, the question.
So it's to the project. So it depending what the project is. So they have high valued items. Last year was SCBA's. This year's SCBA's. Another high valued item is exhaust systems and cancer prevention and clean gear storage. I can't give you an answer to that because I don't know what the costs are on that.
Yeah.
But it's possible to get all of that as part of this grant.
It is possible.
Can you do me a great favor? Just, can you give, I'm not going to hold you to those numbers, just because it kind of makes sense with the size of the project versus
So
the size.
an
of,
exhaust system, just we had a quote.
and you don't need to give it to me tonight. I'd say just.
Well, I could give you roundabout numbers, but again, I'm on record right now and I don't have.
And I understand, absolutely.
So an average exhaust system for a building our size is over $100,000, just for the exhaust system. We're looking to make a room that we can put our gear in. If we do that, we'll probably lose space of living quarters. We have to move something that the men and women have somewhere to sit and eat.
Well, ultimately, what I take from this and what I got from Kevin, this is a proposal for them to draw up a cost of what it's gonna cost to renovate that area. We're gonna spend that probably irregardless, because it needs to be done. So, whoever you're gonna have to look at this is what they're gonna do to put the assessment together, to find out what the needs are and how much it's gonna cost to put the kitchen upstairs, the bedrooms downstairs. So this is gonna have to be done anyways. You're gonna have to find so
as,
ultimately, he can apply for a grant. Maybe he gets the grant or not, but ultimately, we're gonna have to renovate that area anyways.
Right, so
Now,
so-
I don't think there needs to be action on this tonight, but we're gonna have to, one day here, get a cost of what it's gonna renovate that upstairs. I've been talking about doing it for a couple of years now. Kevin wants to go for a grant to get it done.
I want to be clear.
great idea.
But I want to be clear on this. The grant will not pay to build living quarters. That's not what the grant's for. The grant is going to build a clean gear storage, and provide room for our exhaust system. Okay. By doing that, that will pay for that part of the construction. But you're limiting part of the living space. So you're going to have to move something. So I just want to be clear. The grant is not going to pay for a Taj Mahal kitchen or anything like that. The grant will not pay for that.
Right.
And that's why I want this a la carte. So if we could pick and choose when I'm only going to turn in for the federal grant, what is related to the grant, like we've done before.
Sure.
When does the grant award come, Kevin? Ballpark?
Again,
Don't
so
have to
this
pin me
grant,
down.
Beth, when did we find out? Do you remember? Was it September? Let's just say September, August, I think. I don't want to.
Well, I'm just curious if we can push it to next year's budget is all I'm thinking.
We could, so that we just don't apply for a grant this year. That's all that would
No,
be.
no, I'm not.
No. That's all I'm saying. We could push it to next year's budget. I feel I have room in my current budget.
No, that's fine.
That would be a
You
question
know your
I
own
would
numbers.
expect to be asked from.
No,
council,
you're
where
fine.
was it
Your
gonna
own
come from?
numbers are your own numbers.
So, Mr. Schilling, as the liaison to the Safety, Board of Safety, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is to go with his proposal here, because you're gonna have to get a number of what it's gonna cost to renovate that upstairs.
Anyway,
Okay?
I agree with
If
that.
I can add something quickly here, just for some clarity,
Do what you think is best, but I
apologize.
would like at least a couple days to look it over,
Not a problem.
or I can speak have an answer and speak.
This is
intelligently.
just to put
And I'm
together-
sure it's a great
No.
idea. I've looked at it for 3 minutes.
It's fine.
This is just to put the numbers together, Mike. That's all.
I understand.
Okay.
I'd love to look through the proposal.
Yes, Mr. Westland.
Do you want legal review of the terms and conditions?
That'd be wonderful.
Okay.
So, we will expect that, and hopefully before our next council meeting. So I'm gonna actually look for a motion to defer this, or actually, we can accept this as information, because there really, is no action on our agenda for this evening. So we'll accept this as information and review it and get it on the next agenda
Thank you.
for action. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you
Thank you
both.
very much.
We're good with that? All right. Item 6.2, Lake County Councilman Christian Jorgensen. Joe?
First of all, I'd like to thank our 7th District Lake County Councilman Christian Jorgensen for his service to the residents of St. John. Most recently, Councilman Jorgensen was able to secure some additional ARPA funds for the town's water projects. Like to have Christian kind of go over that if he would, and thank him for that.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Councilman, Madam Clerk, Joe, appreciate it. I appreciate you working with me on such a short basis, and you speaking with me, Mike, too. Even though
we appreciate the money. We are
yeah,
grateful.
no, I mean, ever since I was here, we've had an issue with water and water infrastructure.
Still do.
And probably always will. So it was very serendipitous. I was able to get the funds. You really probably should thank Al Menchaca, because he gave them to me, and I was able to give them to you. They don't have to be earmarked under our current rules with the 10 million that all the council people received to split up. But I insisted on earmarking all of mine that I have given away thus far, just so they're used properly. You all have to create a line item for it. Then you're going to have to contact Scott Schmall at County and actually receive the funds. They're in the 2023 budget. And they can be available anytime after January. So create the line item on your next agenda, and you guys can fulfill it. But it is specifically earmarked for water infrastructure. So it has to be water related. you can thank Joe for that, because I was looking at what wells were available, and I think it was 8 and 9 that were most feasible. So I was going to limit it, and he convinced me to just keep it at water infrastructure. So whatever that may mean, and however that is that benefits the town, then
Absolutely.
that's fantastic. But otherwise, I'm happy to help. I was glad for the opportunity. Again, thank Al. He had nowhere to put it, which I can't believe, but he didn't. So I can always find a place to put money, and always somebody who's willing to take it. So, no, I appreciate helping the town. Is there any questions you have on the procedure to get it done? I mean, Joe, between you and Beth, really, I mean, that's all that has to be done after the line item is taken care of.
We'd just like to thank you, Christian, for thinking about us and bringing us a little cash to spend, which we, of course, need.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, but
We're thankful to you
I
and Senator Durnell.
I
We're
en-
very grateful for the
I
generosity.
enjoy the town's water as well.
Yeah.
I live here, and
Like
I
it
would
work?
like to make sure that it's perpetuated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully we can have a long-term, plan and maybe stop from, I think what's going on, I also gave money to Cedar Lake. Now, between Cedar Lake and Crown Point, the new wastewater treatment plant, and everything that they're doing, I think it's probably going to be possible to purchase water at some point from Cedar Lake rather than Cherville. I mean, during my tenure, I mean, we always had to purchase from Cherville. I feel like we got raked over the coals. I don't know how you all feel about that, but to have another competitive seller out there is always going to be a benefit. But I do think that Cedar Lake is going to come online to be able to provide some water. So,
And it'll be nice to have an emergency interconnection with Cedar Lake as well. So,
without a doubt,
yeah.
right? So, good things to come.
Yep.
But thank you all, and I appreciate the time and the recognition.
Well, thank you for coming out. Thank you for earmarking it for the water. And Joe, make sure we get the
That'll be done.
procedure in place to get it earmarked for the water.
That'll be on the next agenda.
Yeah, and then I think you just need resolutions after that. So, I mean, it's pretty simple.
Thank you, sir.
Well, have a happy New Year, Christian.
Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year,
Happy
everybody.
New Year.
Thank you very much for
Thank
having
you.
me. Appreciate it.
Okay, we go to item number 7, old business. 7.1 is ordinance 1782. Joe?
So this was approved unanimously on first reading on October 26th. This establishes the separate non-reverting accounts for the TIF for the Redevelopment Commission. This would be for the TIF 1, TIF 2, 3, and the EDA, as well as a St. John Redevelopment Commission miscellaneous fund as well.
Okay. Questions or comments on ordinance 1782? Then I will entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 1782 on second reading.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It is approved 5-0. Item number 272 is a motion to acquire property for the right-of-way and construction access at 93rd Avenue. Joe?
So this would be to authorize the acquisition of the property, which is the house over here on the corner of 93rd and 41, for no greater than $297,650. This would be pending the final appraisal review, would authorize the town manager to sign the offer agreement, closing documents, and other related documents for the 2023 93rd Avenue 41 intersection improvement project.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Yeah, yes, I'd like to make a couple. So I just view this, it's difficult to spend this type of money, but this is a premier intersection. 93rd and 41 is a premier intersection in our town. It is in desperate need of improvement. I also want to point out that St. John the Evangelist has been a great partner in this with us. They have donated part of the land. This house that we're talking about here is that white house on the corner. In order to do a proper job and improve this intersection in a proper way, it needs to be purchased, in my opinion. There's just, and they've been a good partner through this process. I just want to make sure I was clear on that from my point of view.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, in our last meeting, it said we need 2 appraisals, and I haven't seen the second appraisal, and if what we had in the other meeting was that second sheet. And then in the wording from last month, or last, on the 14th, it says, 2 appraisals, and to authorize the town manager to sign the offer, agreement, closing documents, and any other related documents, which is fine, but then you go to what we have in front of us today. It says, any other related documents for the year 2023, West 93rd Avenue and US 41 intersection. I don't think that should be in there. It just should be up to closing documents, because if anything else comes up and it's money related, that gives Joe the full authority to sign stuff, and maybe we as a town council should know or be aware of what might be coming up. I'm not comfortable with the words.
If I may, Councilman, the FY 2023 West 93rd, that's the actual title of the project, not the fiscal year.
Well,
referring to a fiscal year. That's the
Okay.
title of the project.
All right, well,
Just
that's,
for clarification, but that's, yeah, I understand your
I
concern on
didn't
that.
want you to get way out there and,
Yeah.
and signing stuff. But I'm not, we just got that, well, we went through the information earlier, and I'm still not, trying to digest buying a house and knocking it down, and not owning the property. I understand that, there are laws that if you get too close to somebody's property, you're gonna have to buy it, but, I'm not comfortable with it.
So the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but we will see a second, or there will be a second appraisal, but it's pending the appraisal review, which is actually going to be the second appraisal, is that
Correct. So the appraisal review, we won't move forward without that. That'll be distributed to the council as soon as I get that.
Okay, and as long as it's
As long as there's no objections, we'll
prove
move
this, as
forward
long
with
as it doesn't go up, then you're authorized to go forward with this.
That's correct.
Not to exceed, right, not to exceed.
And then we're using ARPA money for that, and that's another $330,000, and then plus demolition and everything else. And what scares me is the remediation for the asbestos. There's no set figure in that. We won't know that, and it's just like anything else, since being on this town council, change orders are big, and that can change the price of something real quick. So, you guys probably all recognize that, but I know working with the water side, a change order, I can bid something knowing that there's probably going to be a change order, and that I can go bid $300,000 and say, I know I'm going to get another $75,000 out of this project because change orders, and I hate that word, but those are my feelings. So,
Anybody else?
I have nothing.
So maybe last words on that. So the asbestos, the potential for asbestos in the building was a major concern of mine as well. Mike and I actually spent some time going over this and checking it out somewhat. So when discussed this at further length today, I think we discussed it at length again with our engineers, and it is what it is. The demolition, their assessment was that it would be not much more. We're talking about an extra $15,000 is what they thought it would be. It's a $5 million project. So just in my opinion, the road needs to be done. Not having this house and expanding the road in a proper manner is penny wise, dollar foolish. Is my opinion.
and then my other question, our concern would be, where's the money coming from? I'm in favor of the project. I'm in favor of the, widening the road and all of that. But I think before you do anything, we need to know where the money's
We
coming
have
from.
money earmarked out of the project from the general obligation bond.
How much is that, Mike?
That's about, at the beginning part, it was 2.9 million. I don't know what is left
We got,
from
okay,
that number.
so it's 2.9 million, and
What
I
is the
think.
number?
Well, no, I'm
It's right
just,
there in the,
I'd say 2.6-ish.
2.6, because we've spent some of it already on the engineering costs, but what was the
2.7.
original number?
Probably 2.9.
Okay.
And then the 250,000 from the county is going towards that, or is that going towards the other project for Acorn?
That's water.
The money that's coming from the county is earmarked.
Well,
It's gonna
okay,
be earmarked.
that's water, I'm sorry, but I thought there was mention of that too, so excuse me, Mike.
No problem.
And then you have, well, you were there when the engineer was there tonight. You're gonna have about $3 million in road work and $1 million in your
And
water.
Water.
Yes.
But at
Sewer
one
water.
time, if you went from 93rd to the tracks, that was $850,000, if I remember right.
Right.
And that has to go up about 40% because the C900's gone up. So I
Well, it's
just,
gonna have to go out the bid here. You have money earmarked for the project.
Right, so we've got money earmarked. I would like to entertain a motion, and so if somebody's gonna do one, it's gonna have to be read the way it's written right here. I don't know that going on any further is gonna accomplish anything, so, yeah, I'd entertain a motion.
So it needs to be read exactly like this?
I would prefer that.
Okay.
Under
So,
the appraisal section?
so it's under I, right? Double I.
Yes, double I.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to acquire certain property for public right-of-way and construction at access at 11211 West 93rd Avenue, St. John, Indiana, for no greater than $297,650 even, pending the appraisal review, and to authorize the town manager to sign the offer, agreement, closing documents, and any other related documents for fiscal year 2023 West 93rd Avenue and US 41 intersection.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
I'll second it.
Okay, now, any other questions or comments? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
hey,
That is approved 4-1. Okay. Item number 8A, financial matters of the corporation. Number 1, request to purchase. Beth?
There are 27 requests to purchase, 2 from Boonder Electric, 1 from Bozak Ford, 2 from Clark Concrete, 1 from Precision Builders, 1 from Alexander Chemical, 2 from Superior Engine, 1 from Fire Service, 2 from Corin, Maine, 1 from Marquee Tent Rental, 1 from Wild Goose Chase, 1 from Sutton Asphalt, 1 from Thomas Dodge, 3 from Safe Fleet Mobile Vision, 1 from Phil and Tammy Garden, 2 from Landscape Services of Illinois, 1 from Linco, 3 from CDWG, and 1 from Nelson Construction, totaling $467,167.10.
Okay. Questions or comments on the RTPs?
No.
I will entertain a motion to approve the request to purchase.
I'll make a motion to approve request to purchase in the amount of $467,167.10.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
Second?
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. 8.2 is the accounts payable voucher dated December 29th. Have that in front of you for the amount of $3,538,512.96. Questions or comments? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable voucher.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable voucher in the total amount of $3,538,512.96.
Thank you, Brian. There's support for that.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item B is your consent agenda. Joe?
This would be an omnibus vote by the town council to approve the consent agenda for each of the items listed here below. All of these are the independent contractors' agreements from January 1, 2023 to December 31st, 2023 between the town of St. John, Department of Parks and Recreation, and the following instructors. Beth Ann Foster for Pilates, Aaron Harris for guitar and ukulele program, Jesse Hernandez for a regional basketball club, Sarah Johnson for yoga, Lisa Casina for Bricks for Kids and Young Rembrandts Club, Carmine Moore for the Ladies Empowerment Walk Program, Patrick Torishi for the Alpha Primal Program, and Steve Trout for the baseball and softball camps. At this time, Mr. President, it'd be appropriate for you to call a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Yeah, Joe, what's the difference? Some of them are 50%, 75%, and 80%. Is there a reason why they take that, or?
Those were the negotiated rates.
Right, and I'm just asking, because I've seen it, I'm looking through it.
Yeah.
And- Okay,
If there's any item that you want to take off separate and vote on it separate, that's fine too.
oh,
Okay, then I will look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item C, ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2022-12-29C. Joe?
So this resolution transfers $225,325.40 from various funds into different line items that were appropriated in the annual budget for the various functions of the departments. All the transfers are out from existing appropriations, which have been unobligated balances.
Beth, any comments?
No.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-12-29C?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Support for that?
One second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It is approved 5-0. Resolution 2022-12-29D. Joe, anything to introduce?
Yeah, so this authorizes the clerk treasurer to transfer the funds out of the specific funds of the local road and bridge grant fund to cover the cost for the 2022 CCMG grant match. Would be motor vehicles, $387,699.32. Local road and street fund, $190,300. Cable TV fund, $175,884. Riverboat fund, $59,700, and the CCD fund, $287,319.76 for a total of $1,100,903.08.
Anything, Beth?
This is just the town's portion of the matching grant,
Okay.
so.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-12-29D?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Resolution 2022-12-29E. Joe?
So this authorizes the transfer of $10,438.64 from the Christmas Fence Fund to reimburse the EDC fund for expenses incurred for 2022 Christmas in the Park event.
Okay. Beth, anything?
No.
Okay. Then I am looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022-12-29E.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. There's support for that.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
No,
Nay.
That is 3-2. Okay. Did you guys want to speak on that, or? I'm sorry, I didn't ask.
Well, that was the one with the donations to the, I made a donation to the Christmas event park.
so what that does, if you donate to Christmas in the park, it might get transferred somewhere else, and you want it earmarked for a certain thing, so.
If, Mr. Swets,
So
or,
isn't this just this money was taken out, am I understanding this incorrectly? This money was in the EDC fund, so it was used, which is a wonderful event, and the money should be used, right? So you're just simply returning the money to the fund it came from. Is that not correct?
That's the
Not
way I
correct?
understand it.
no, that's not correct.
What else could it be?
That is absolutely not correct.
What is it?
The EDC, how is the EDC fund funded? Joe, I'm assuming this was your idea to transfer the donations from Christmas in the Fund back to EDC. So how is the EDC funded? Where does the money come from?
Wasn't the EDC funded out of the general fund?
No,
No,
it
it's
is
coming
not.
from the Bureau of or Visitors, I'm
The
sorry.
it's the innkeeper tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 2019, the town of St. John was contacted by South Shore because the law states, and this is a county resolution, that the innkeeper tax must be spent on special events. Only use for that money is on special events. So in 2019, the South Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau contacted the town because it had never used any of the funds, innkeepers' revenue, on any special events. So starting in 2019 through 2022, the town council has budgeted $10,000, the first $10,000 of Christmas in the Park, to come from the innkeeper's tax. And then every year, we report back to South Shore on how those funds were spent. So why you would take donations to reimburse a tax revenue for that intended purpose makes absolutely no sense. I don't personally take issue with it if you want to, and I don't know, to be honest with you, if the ordinance establishing the Christmas in the Park Fund would even allow for a transfer from that fund to the EDC fund, because I believe the language states that it would go to the general fund only in the event that the special event wasn't held in 1 year's time. So I don't know, legally speaking, if that's allowable, but I personally don't take issue with you transferring the funds there, because those funds will always be earmarked for Christmas in the Park, regardless of which fund they sit in. The donations came in with the intended purpose for Christmas in the Park. So whether those donations are sitting in Christmas in the Park or EDC, they can only ever be used for Christmas in the Park.
So donations, you're talking about, not the individual donations. You're talking.
It's a mix of both.
Oh.
It would be a mix of tree sponsor donations.
Okay, but
Plus-
that money never went into the EDC, did it?
No, that's what you're trying to do.
No, there was expenses that were for Christmas in the Park that were taken out of the EDC.
Correct, because you guys, through the 2022 budget, budgeted $10,000 for the special event of Christmas in the Park. That was the only special event in 2022, 2019, 2020, 21, 2022, before Freedom Fest came along. Because on top of it, they expect that the special event brings in surrounding communities. It cannot only impact your community. It's a visitor's tax.
So I'm not looking to split hairs here for sure. So, Christmas in the Park is a wonderful event, needs to be fully funded. I'm confused now. I just thought this was a returning money to a fund that it was taken out of. Both the events need to be fully funded, so I'm in a state of confusion. So maybe we should, I don't know, if we're going to undo that, and I would like clarity on that before we move forward.
It's done now. It's over.
Whatever's done can be
Well,
undone.
we can always put it back, exactly. So you know what I'd like? I'd like some clarity on that for the next meeting, or Christmas in the Park is 10 months
or
away.
now.
So-
We'll get it
So
before
I would
that.
love that, so.
Yeah.
So for sure, that, Christmas in the Park is a wonderful event and needs to be fully funded, 100%.
So, Mr. Westland, do you have a comment?
So if it's the desire to revoke the now passed resolution, right, I need a motion
Reconsider.
to revoke that resolution.
Well, since
But
it's
I don't
done,
want
why
to do
don't
that
we
yet
just...
until we figure it out, so.
Why don't we, yeah.
So-
We'd love to have clarity on that.
So,
What did you-
so right now, just so you're clear, right, like, right now, this resolution is passed.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
So, Joe, what is your understanding of this?
The resolution's passed?
No, the $10,438, is that supposed to go to special events? I thought we had $10,000 in that fund for our facade improvement program.
That's what the understanding I had.
Okay, so there's confusion. So if you wouldn't mind maybe having some clarity, we'll come back and let's make sure these things are properly funded.
Well, we're at the end of the year, we need to,
And, you know, Beth, that was the first I've heard of that explanation, and I appreciate hearing it.
It was also the first I had heard that you guys were attempting to transfer Christmas in the Park donations somewhere else, and I would have appreciated being a part of that process too.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt.
so where are we right now? What's this?
I'd say was move along.
Okay, so leave it as approved.
Are we going to forego the next item then?
Yeah, I believe until we resolve this, that should be left alone.
No, we have to finish
You table it.
So what do you want to do with the $10,438? Leave it with what we've decided at this point?
At this point,
Okay. I think we need to look at that a little closer. Then we'll move on.
we should table Resolution 2022-12-29F till the next meeting when we decide what we're going to do.
And what would be the implications of that?
That we revisit it?
No, I'm talking to Beth, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Well, like Mikey just said, I don't believe that those who donated or sponsored the event would appreciate their donations going to fund payroll. I don't think, well, I shouldn't even say I don't think, I know for certain that was not the intention of their donations, nor has any other special event donations been used to fund payroll.
Right, and I would say nor is that intention any of ours either, so I think, yeah, we need to have clarity, absolutely.
I'm talking about Resolution 2022-12-29F.
Right, because it says a resolution transferring money from the, oh,
All right.
F,
Then here's what we'll do.
17.
Resend resolution number 22-12-29E. That was the one that handled the Christmas in the park
Rescind
for
it,
the
you're saying?
$10,000.
But this does also, right?
Well, no, then you just take the part out and the next resolution that deals with the Christmas in the park, but all the other ones need to stay on there. Because you still have to close.
Jerry, I think what you're asking, can you scroll the screen, Jason? I'm sorry. What you're trying to do up one more, Jason, I'm so sorry. I don't know where it went. What you're doing with the
Go down,
EDC
Jason.
fund, and when I was just actually
page.
looking at the resolution, it references
Good.
two amounts. In one place, you're referencing 10,000 and some change, and then in another, you're referencing 8,000 and some change, neither of which is the true and accurate total of what was spent out of the EDC and innskeeper tax. So you may want to consider undoing your
Let
motion.
us know what that is.
I did. I sent
not
your-
tonight, when
I
you
sent
get
the email. Remember, you'd asked for the expense report, so it's in the email.
You have the
It was
total?
$9,906, give or take.
The resolution I'm looking at has the same number. No. Oh, section 2, okay.
Yeah, it references 10,000, then 8,000.
Right,
So neither of those are the true and accurate number, if that's your intention.
okay.
So that's separate. So that's one resolution. And then the next one comes and it wants to take donations from Christmas in the Park Fund and move some to the general fund, some to the Water Districts Fund, some to the Water Utility Fund, some to the Park Fund, some to the MVH Fund. That is to cover personnel expenses, which is payroll. Which,
Shouldn't do that.
Well, how much did you actually take in? What was your income?
about
from-
22,000.
And what was your expense?
Total was about, I think it was, I can look it up, actually, it's in the email. Between the two funds, we were at, I just sent it to Mr. Aurelio today, per his request.
Thank you.
Regardless, though, of what was taken in, the donations to continue this event were not intended to pay for payroll or reimburse payroll.
Well, is just for this number, is this for the 17,000 here, what you're referring to as payroll? Is this the number here? Is that what we're talking about for paying for like the police and for just the personnel that was, you know, in overtime or whoever did on that event? Was that time spent per this event?
I don't know where the $17,000 came from. The only thing that I can surmise is that you have employees who set up the park. They go out there and they set up.
Public Works and you have police, right?
So you're taking
just
their.
like with the, well, I'm just trying to figure out what the costs are. here
So
and what they're
Bob
associated
Davis
with.
comes and he assigns them that duty for the day. And so what Joe is saying that we should do is take our donations for the event and use it to cover that payroll.
So what was your expense, though?
My expense, it was probably, okay, let me look. I've got to look at my send.
Right, because when we did a
You guys
cost
all got
estimate
it
for
today.
Freedom Fest, we included, you know, because Public Works had to come out and set up the tents and
just
all
wait.
sorts of other stuff, right?
It was
So
included in an
that.
expense report,
Right.
but donations didn't cover that expense. Town payroll covered that expense. I don't disagree that
I think it
how
did
many
cover I think it definitely covered part of it.
It did
right. I'm
not,
worried-
it did not
I'm worried
cover
about
any
this
of
one
it.
right now.
It did not cover any of it, not one
Let's double check
half
that.
of a penny.
Let's double check.
You just did a transfer, Mike, from the general fund to the Freedom Fest fund to cover
Argue, what's this, just
Okay.
double check,
What
no
were your
problem.
expenses
No
for
problem.
$50,000.
Christmas in the Park?
Okay, let me, go.
Mr. Chairman,
You know what? Actually, I can look at it differently instead of through the email.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider Resolution 2022-12-29E in the amount of $10,438.64.
Okay, is there support for that motion?
Second.
Okay, questions or comments?
Okay, so what did I say, 9906 plus?
Just wait a second, Beth.
Sure.
Then to recall this.
Reconsider.
Reconsider. So I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. So that is
Okay, so total
reversed
expenses, but $21,521
for the whole event.
for the entire event.
Okay.
Yes, Brian, that's the correct number. Not including payroll, whatever, if you want to, if you want to take the assigned duties of the employees and you want to use donations to cover it, it wouldn't cover that. But of course, payroll to have,
I don't want to talk about but if you wouldn't mind, the donations should be put their appropriate place, but if you wouldn't mind having an estimate of, you know, time spent on the event, because I would like on all of them, if we know what the cost of events are. If we have-
sure, Joe, can you
have
please pass
more and
that
more events,
information
right?
along
So
to me? Because
that would
you're
be
the one who
wonderful.
calculated this number, so if you could pass that information along to me, that would be
And then
very
they should be
handy,
fully funded. I totally agree with that.
but not by donations.
Sure.
It doesn't sound to me like this was donations that were, if you took in 22 and you spent 21 plus, not including payroll,
We spent $9,906 from the innkeeper's tax. Okay? Then we spent the remainder from the Christmas in the Park donations. So therefore, there's still a balance sitting in the Christmas in the Park donation fund.
so we're back to that $10,000 that we just turned around.
We just reconsidered,
Okay.
so it's no longer in effect.
Technically, you moved to reconsider the resolution,
Correct,
and there was a 5-0 vote on that.
correct,
So now you had a passed resolution, and now I want to reconsider it.
correct.
So now I need some motion up or down. Table. Or table.
Table, right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table $10,438.64.
Is this the resolution? Table.
Yes, tabling resolution 2022-12-29E.
Correct. Yes.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of tabling this resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
So we're gonna move the table the next as well, correct? So
Correct.
I'd like to make a motion to table resolution number 2022-12-29F.
Second.
Questions or comments on that? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is tabled. The next meeting, 5-0. We move to item G. Joe?
Sorry, my voice is like not working here, sorry. So this authorizes the transfer of $29,685.16 from the town's general fund to the Community Events Fund for the 2022 Freedom Fest.
Okay. Questions or comments? Then I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2022-12-29G.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Support for that?
Second it.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number D, council action, calendar of schedule of meetings for the town council, the boards, and the commissions. Joe?
So the council has a schedule of meetings for 2023 before them for consideration for tonight.
Questions or comments on the meeting schedule? Then I will entertain a motion to schedule as presented. So moved. Thank you, Mike. Support for that.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Schilling. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It is approved 5-0. Professional services agreement between the town and Westland and Bennett PC. Joe?
So this is the agreement with Westland and Bennett for the town's attorney. This would begin January 1st.
Questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the professional service agreement between the town of St. John and Westland and Bennett.
Thank you, Mike.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 3, professional services agreement between the town of St. John and Adam Decker, attorney at law, PC.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Item number 4, professional services agreement between the town of St. John and Robinson Engineering LTD.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for that?
Second.
Second it.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Professional services agreement between the town of St. John and Sender and Dalton Municipal Advisors.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. And item 6 is the appointments of specific individuals to boards, committees, commissions, and liaisons. So I don't have a full list because we're still working on that, and we still have some applications to come in. The ones that I do have that we wanted to complete tonight were the Plan Commission. We have 3 employee appointments from the town, and those would be Bob Valois, John Gill, and Gina Lorenzen. From the Board of the BZA, I would like to reappoint as an appointment from the Town Council to the BZA, Bob Burleson. Redevelopment Commission, I would like to reappoint the same people that are there, which is the Town Council, Brian Blazak, Mike Aurelio, Mike Schilling, Gerald Swets, and then Stacy Daniel. Sanitary District, appoint to a 4-year term, John Kennedy, John Schaefer, Jim Zarnick. Water District, Ken Gimbala, Jim Zarnick, and Joan McInerney, which are one-year terms. Parks and Recreation, we would like to reappoint Lauren Sustick and Barbara Tousley. And also on the Safety Board, we would like to reappoint Brian Daniel. And the Economic Development Committee, I will read their names, but it's the same committee. We're just reappointing all the ones that are sitting. John DeYoung, Kelly Stoming, Robert Godoy, Scott Bell, Emily Warren, Joseph Berry, and Dave Beeshold. That is the extent of the appointments that I'm prepared to make this evening. We've got a couple other to do yet, and the liaisons, which we will do later at the next meeting, as well as our election of officers. So do I have a motion to approve those appointed?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mike. Support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Hey, I'd like to have a list of that, Jerry. We could have, if you knew that, you could have had that shared with all of us.
I can do that.
I mean, that would,
We've had it for days, this list.
how did that come out?
We got emailed to us, I don't know,
I
a
don't-
few days ago.
I don't remember
Several
seeing
days
it.
ago.
Who sent out the email?
No, that was the list of the appointees that are there now that went out.
That's not the same list.
Right.
It's the open spots. Okay. Yes, I will get that to you, Wayne.
Yeah, it's I mean, we're voting on something that didn't really know anything about.
Okay. Item number 9, reports and correspondence. So this is, and there was some public comment on this. There's a change in our agenda here with reports and correspondence. At the advice of council, we're eliminating this. Many times it brings up decisions on items that are not on the agenda. Towns that do have this usually have their department heads reporting at council meetings. Since we don't require our department heads to be here, those items will come through the town manager's office. We do have study sessions, and we have a free flow of information, and that's the time to actually get that across. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Wizawati for his report.
Thank you, Mr. President. So first, I'd like to thank our public works crews who were out clearing our streets during this recent snow event. They did an outstanding job. Second, I want to thank our police and fire personnel who braved the cold temperatures and blizzard conditions to service our residents during that holiday storm. I'd like to also recognize 3 of our employees who will be retiring next week. Larry Bustamante, who's our mechanic. He's been here with us for 17 years, 6 months. Jerry Kudzia, who is our Public Works Administrative Assistant. She'd been here for 21 years, 6 months. And April Grober, who is our custodian. She's been here for 7 years, 2 months. I want to wish them well in their retirement. I also like to report that we are working on updating or completing a 5-year capital improvement plan with Senator Dalton. We've also had meetings with our department heads as well with respect to this. As the needs of the town change, the plan's going to be changing as well. So as we move into 2023, we will begin working on our strategic plan. This plan will identify our strategic goals so that we can begin focusing on the work for the future of our town. It will focus on our economic and community development, transportation, infrastructure, finance, among many other aspects. While we are working on developing our strategic plan, we are also working on the 101st Avenue, Calumet Avenue, and 109th 231 corridor plan with our engineer and Tesca. This is critically important, and we will be looking to partner with Lake County as well as NERC on this plan. We have several other projects that we are planned to get underway in 2023 as well. Among these are the 93rd Avenue and US 41 improvement project, the Acorn Water Main replacement and improvement plan, the US 41 Water Main replacement project, Wells 8 and 9 project, which will include a solution for treating the water as well, and our CCMG project application, which is due in January of 2023. Finally, I want to wish all the members of the town council, the clerk treasurer, staff, residents of St. John, a very happy and prosperous new year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Any questions for Joe? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I want to wish everybody a happy new year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I just want to echo the same thing that Joe did, and I'm sure the rest of the people on the council would like to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
We appreciate everything that the employees of this town do. appreciate the support of the residents of this town, and hope that everyone has a prosperous and a joyous new year. With that, I do have an